An update tonight on the search for Daniel Robinson, a geologist who disappeared while working at a remote site in Buckeye. Police say they've done several recent searches in key areas where Daniel was last seen, but still no signs.
Baby, so how are you doing?
This morning, we're out here to do the same way we're doing every week, searching for Daniel. I came here with a mission in mind, decided I want to do this for my son, make sure I be here for him. He need me, I need him.
Daniel Robinson, a 24-year-old geologist, goes missing under what seems very mysterious circumstances. His Jeep is found to be in a crash, but no body, and friends and family reveal that Daniel had been acting strange leading up to his disappearance. The saddest part about Daniel Robinson's story is no one knew. The media knew nothing about Daniel Robinson. That is until recently. Daniel Robinson was born on January 14, 1997, to his parents, David Robinson II and Melissa Edmonds. Daniel was born missing his right hand and part of his forearm, but his father made sure that he treated him no different from his other siblings growing up. Daniel was very active in sports growing up, and he also participated in music. Daniel had an interest for rocks and loved collecting rare rocks by climbing the peak of mountains. Daniel moved to Arizona after graduating college in 2019 and started working as a field geologist for an engineering company. On June 23rd, Daniel was scheduled to be working on the field at a desert, but didn't show up and was last seen at 9 a.m. that day, missing a full day's work. Daniel had been at the job site the morning with a co-worker he had just met that day, Ken Elliott. Daniel and Ken met at the desert site to check a well. However, there was a storm that morning, and the two were both waiting for the storm to pass. While the two were waiting, Daniel suggested that the two of them should leave work and relax in Phoenix, but Ken decided not to. Daniel got into his Jeep and left without Ken, and that was the last person who ever saw Daniel. The site where Daniel was supposed to be working that day was near Sun Valley Parkway in Cactus Road. Daniel's father, David, had gotten a call from his daughter, Daniel's sister, also living in Phoenix, who told him that a co-worker had passed by the house and let her know that Daniel had not returned to finish his job that day. His father started calling him, but his phone just rang and went to voicemail. With Daniel gone without communication and his Jeep not at home, David Robinson calls police and reports his son is missing around 7 p.m. The Buckeye Police Department took on Daniel as a missing person and started a ground search near Daniel's job site. That day, Daniel was entered into the National Missing Persons database. Daniel's boss, friends, and family were contacted by police, urging them to help find the 24-year-old. They scoured Daniel's worksite and even checked traffic security cameras for any signs of his vehicle. David Robinson, Daniel's father, packs up immediately from South Carolina over to Arizona to look for his son. David told police that Daniel had been acting strange the few weeks leading up to his disappearance, like something was going on. Police found out that Daniel had met a woman by doing Instacart, his side gig. Police found and interviewed the woman, where she claimed that she met Daniel when he was making a delivery at her house. She was with a friend and invited Daniel to stay. They exchanged numbers and started texting. The young lady also told police that shortly after the two started texting, Daniel started showing up to her home uninvited and unannounced. She let Daniel know that she was very uncomfortable with this and asked him to stop. Following the interaction between the two, the day before Daniel vanished, he texted her stating that, "I'll either see you again or not see you again." The young woman in question denied ever having any relationship with Daniel. However, another friend of Daniel admitted that he had hooked up with one of the women he delivered food to. Police also interviewed the co-worker who was last with Daniel and were told that Daniel drove off west of the location where they were supposed to be working. West of the desert had nothing but unended desert land. With these statements made by the people who last seen Daniel, David, Daniel's father denies that there was nothing mental about the situation and urged police to not take Daniel's disappearance as a mental breakdown. Daniel made no calls or texts to his family and friends. There was no movement of his bank account, and with these factors, police knew for sure that Daniel was indeed missing, and this wasn't a case of someone running away. Police continued to perform ground searches around the site, and on July 19, 2021, less than 3 miles from the job site, Daniel's Jeep is found in a ravine. The Jeep was in disheveled condition, with the airbags deployed and the sunroof panel kicked out. Daniel's belongings, including his orange construction vest, boots, pair of blue jeans, backpack, laptop, cell phone, and apartment keys, were discovered in the Jeep, but there was no sign of Daniel. 2 days later, investigators download crash data from the Jeep and also extracted data from Daniel's cell phone. Now that Daniel's vehicle is found, police thought that this would lead to something, but it kept bringing more questions than answers. When a crash report was processed in Daniel's Jeep, it concluded that it was a rollover crash and was the only crash recorded on the vehicle's internal systems. The collision report indicated that speed was increased right before the impact, which shows that there was no attempt to drive up the other side. The collision report indicated that speed was increased right before the impact, which shows that there was an attempt to drive up the other side of the ravine. The strangest detail was that the vehicle had over 40 ignition cycles after the crash, and it isn't clear whether those attempts were made from the driver or occurred during the towing and recovery process. It's important to note that the collision report was not completed in July when the vehicle was found, but about 3 months after, in October. There was also an 11-mile discrepancy between the crash data report and the odometer reading. Daniel's father believed that foul play was involved, but investigators stated that they have found nothing that indicates such. David Robinson hired a private investigator who specialized in accident reconstruction and from his expertise, completely believed that there was something not right with the crash report. According to Jeff, this was the most mysterious case he had ever worked on. He believed that the vehicle's airbags had been deployed at another location before it was driven to the ravine. Also, there was evidence that the driver had been wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. Daniel's father felt as if during the time when Daniel went missing, he was the only one trying to find his son. The media was too preoccupied with Gabby Petito, who also went missing around the time, but got not only national but international coverage. Daniel's father understood that the crime was serious, but only wanted equality because his son's case started gaining attraction only when Gabby Petito's case had died down and her remains were found. Daniel had been missing for 2 years now, with no new evidence or updates in his case. Police isn't necessarily treating it as a missing persons case, but are still putting their efforts to search for the young geologist. David Robinson won't stop looking for his son, even if the media doesn't help him. Daniel's family and friends are looking forward to being reunited with him and hope that one day this can all come to an end.